You think you're safe inside your home, but maybe you just can't see who's watching you through the snowstorm. I was living by myself that winter. It happened roughly a few years ago, in the first stretch of January, right after the holiday. Work had been draining me, long evenings and late nights, so when a heavy snowstorm rolled through that evening, I decided it was the perfect excuse to stay in. I planned to throw together a simple dinner and take care of a few things around the house. The neighborhood was eerily still. Most of the homes nearby belonged to older couples or retirees who rarely left once winter settled in. Sometime around late evening, I stepped into the living room and noticed a pair of headlights creeping slowly down my street. At first, I assumed it was a city plow making its rounds. But as it drew closer, I realized it wasn't anything official. It was just an old pickup truck with a flimsy-looking plow bolted to the front. No logos, no flashing lights, nothing to suggest it belonged to the city. Just a faded white truck with rust spots and a bent front bumper. It rolled past my house at a crawl, slow enough that I wondered if the driver was lost or scanning house numbers. I shrugged it off. About 15 minutes later, the truck came back. This time it moved even slower, barely inching along the road. When it reached the end of my driveway, it stopped for a brief moment, long enough to feel deliberate, like whoever was inside was staring, either at my house or at me. I closed the blinds. I wasn't scared yet, just irritated. I figured it was some local guy trying to earn a little cash clearing driveways. Roughly 30 minutes passed. Then I heard the first knock. It was quiet, almost courteous. A gentle tap at the front door, nearly drowned out by the wind. My body went stiff instantly. Nobody ever knocks that late unless something's wrong. I approached the door and peered through the peephole. No one. I told myself it was nothing and walked away. But not long after, the sound came again, this time from the window beside the door. 3 quick taps. I cracked the blinds just enough to look outside, fully expecting someone to be standing there. Instead, there was nothing. Just fresh snow coating the ground and the storm blowing sideways across my yard. My chest tightened as I stepped back. I returned to the kitchen and forced myself to focus on the dishes, though my patience was wearing thin. I told myself it had to be kids messing around. Or, in the darker corner of my mind, something much worse. The kind of thought everyone tries not to entertain. I knew my imagination was spiraling, but I still didn't feel like I was in real danger yet. Then came another knock. This time it came from the back door. It was only a few steps away from where I stood in the kitchen. My heart started pounding. I grabbed the largest knife I owned and moved slowly toward the door, listening for any sound. I opened it carefully. Nothing. Just silence. And footprints in the snow leading straight up to the glass and stopping there. No tracks leading away, no sign of where they went. Just one set of footprints that ended abruptly at my door. Every muscle in my body is locked up. I moved through the house, turning off lights, trying to make it look abandoned. Not that it mattered. Whoever was out there clearly knew I was home. A few minutes later, another knock echoed through the house. This one came from the side window near the dining area. Same pressure, same tempo. That's when the fear really set in. This wasn't funny anymore. Even if it was someone messing around, it had crossed a line. I checked the window again. Still nothing. But I swear, just for a split second, I saw the edge of a dark coat vanish around the corner of my house. It happened too fast to make out anything else. I thought about calling the police. I really did. But I hesitated, worried I'd sound ridiculous if it turned out to be a drunk neighbor or someone confused. So I waited. 2 hours have passed. No more knocking. No truck. No movement outside. Eventually, the quiet returned. It was nearly midnight, and I figured the best thing I could do was distract myself. I headed downstairs, planning to play some games or watch videos until exhaustion finally pulled me under. The basement had only recently been renovated, and it quickly became my favorite place to unwind. There was a sliding glass door down there that looked out into the backyard, and I liked sitting nearby while I relaxed. I dropped into my chair at my computer, got completely absorbed in what I was doing, and for a while, the strange knocking from earlier slipped my mind. Sometime later, long enough that I'd lost track of time, a sudden wave of dread washed over me. The kind that makes your skin prickle. I felt it deep in my gut, like something was standing directly behind me, watching. An overwhelming urge told me to turn around. I rotated my chair slowly. In the dark reflection of my monitor, I saw it almost instantly. A human-shaped silhouette standing outside the sliding glass door. Just a solid black outline, perfectly still, facing straight towards me. My stomach sank. I spun around, and for a brief moment I saw him more clearly. A man in a thick coat, a hood pulled tight around his head. Before my eyes could fully adjust, he stepped out of sight. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my phone and called the police. As I was explaining what was happening, I heard a sound from upstairs that made my blood run cold. Metal scraping against metal. My front door lock. I whispered to the dispatcher that someone was trying to get inside my house. She told me to get somewhere safe, but before I could respond, I heard the front door creak open above me. Panic flooded my body. I backed away toward the basement stairs, but my hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone. Then I heard him. Laughing. Yelling. Heavy footsteps pounding across the floor, getting closer to the stairway. I didn't even think about the phone. Survival mode took over. I shoved on the heavy boots I usually wore for deep snow. They were already downstairs because I'd carried them in earlier. I threw on my coat and bolted straight for the sliding glass door. I glanced around the yard. When I saw no one, I ran. I didn't stop to think. I didn't plan. I just ran as fast as my legs would carry me. There was no chance I was staying to confront whoever this was. I didn't even have my keys. I sprinted across the yard, slipping in the snow once or twice, until I reached a nearby house. I slammed my fists against their door like a lunatic. They let me in immediately. I used their phone to call the police again, and waited there with them until the officers arrived. They went to my house to search for the intruder. He was gone. After they cleared the place, they escorted me back inside. The moment I stepped through the door, I felt nauseous. My home wasn't robbed. It was wrecked. Cabinets torn open, the couch sliced apart, kitchen drawers dumped onto the floor. My bedroom mattress flipped, clothes scattered everywhere. My computer had been knocked over, and later they found my phone smashed in the basement. Nothing was stolen, just destruction. Like he'd come in purely to tear my life apart. On the large whiteboard I kept in the living room for work planning, he'd written a message. I'll never forget it. I'll be back. Sleep tight. The officers strongly advised me not to stay there that night. I didn't argue. I went to a friend's place and barely slept at all. The next morning, I contacted my landlord and told him I was done. No discussions, no compromises. I was leaving immediately. After the police explained the situation, he agreed. They told me they'd found footprints in the snow circling my house multiple times. Same tread marks near the sliding door. The same ones at every entrance where the knocking had happened. They never found the man. The truck never returned. I was fully moved out within days. I still don't know why he chose my house, or what he wanted from me. But the part that haunts me the most wasn't the knocking, or even seeing him in the dark. It was realizing how long he must have been watching. Learning the layout of my home. Timing every knock. Waiting until I was distracted. Knowing exactly when to come inside. I haven't lived alone since. And I don't know if I ever will.
Subscribe and I'll tell you another story the next time you're alone in the dark.